धीमहि यो यो नमः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नमः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। परम दयाल प्रभु परम दयाल राम कृष्ण प्रभु परम दयाल। परम दयाल प्रभु परम दयाल राम कृष्ण प्रभु परम दयाल। परम कृपाल मां परम कृपाल श्री मां शारदा परम कृपाल। परम कृपाल मां परम कृपाल श्री मां शारदा परम कृपाल। करुणा सागर युगावतार नैया हमरी करो भव पार। करुणा सागर युगावतार नैया हमरी करो भव पार। परम दयाल प्रभु परम दयाल राम कृष्ण प्रभु परम दयाल। परम दयाल प्रभु परम दयाल राम कृष्ण प्रभु परम दयाल। परम दयाल प्रभु परम दयाल राम कृष्ण प्रभु परम दयाल। परम दयाल प्रभु परम दयाल राम कृष्ण प्रभु परम दयाल। परम कृपाल मां परम कृपाल श्री मां शारदा परम कृपाल। परम कृपाल मां परम कृपाल श्री मां शारदा परम कृपाल। करुणा सागर युगावतार नैया हमरी करो भव पार। करुणा सागर युगावतार नैया हमरी करो भव पार। परम दयाल प्रभु परम दयाल राम कृष्ण प्रभु परम दयाल। परम दयाल प्रभु परम दयाल राम कृष्ण प्रभु परम दयाल। परम दयाल प्रभु परम दयाल राम कृष्ण प्रभु परम दयाल। ओम श्री राम कृष्ण भगवान की जय।
विघ्न विनायका देव देवा परम ज्योति विनायका।
विघ्न विनायक देव देवा परम ज्योति विनायका।
विनायका जय विनायका परम ज्योति विनायका। भगवान की जय।
જશોદા ના લાલા તમે ગાયો ના ગોવાળા હું આવ્યો તમારે દ્વાર મારી નયા કરો ને પાર મારી નયા કરો ને પાર ઓ નંદ જશોદા ના લાલા તમે ગાયો ના ગોવાળા હું આવ્યો તમારે દ્વાર મારી નયા કરો ને પાર મારી નયા કરો ને પાર તમે ભક્તોના આધાર તમે મારા જીવન પ્રતિપાલ તમે ભક્તોના આધાર તમે મારા જીવન પ્રતિપાલ ઓ કૃષ્ણ કનૈયા લાલ દાસ ઉભો તમારે દ્વાર દાસ ઉભો તમારે દ્વાર ઓ કૃષ્ણ કનૈયા લાલ દાસ ઉભો તમારે દ્વાર દાસ ઉભો તમારે દ્વાર ઓ નંદ જશોદા ના લાલા તમે ગાયો ના ગોવાળા હું આવ્યો તમારે દ્વાર મારી નયા કરો ને પાર મારી નયા કરો ને પાર મારા પાપો ભર્યા છે એવા હું ભૂલ્યો તમારી સેવા મારા પાપો ભર્યા છે એવા હું ભૂલ્યો તમારી સેવા મારી ભૂલો ના ભૂલે ના તારી કરુણાનો નહીં પાર તારી કરુણાનો નહીં પાર મારી ભૂલો ના ભૂલે ના તારી કરુણાનો નહીં પાર તારી કરુણાનો નહીં પાર ઓ નંદ જશોદા ના લાલા તમે ગાયો ના ગોવાળા હું આવ્યો તમારે દ્વાર મારી નયા કરો ને પાર મારી નયા કરો ને પાર મારી નયા કરો ને પાર ઓમ શ્રી રામ કૃષ્ણ ભગવાન કી જય
तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ते भूरिदा जनाः. The nectar of your sin-effacing utterances brings life and hope to those scorched by misery. They are extolled by wise sages, and the mere listening to them brings auspiciousness to all. They confer every prosperity. Those who spread them broadcast are verily magnanimous. They distribute what is completely satisfying to the hearers. Om Namo Narayanaya, dear sisters and brothers. We hope and pray that you are all well. In recent times, we have been experiencing many challenges which can be overpowering and difficult to manage. It is helpful to take refuge in God through prayer and by keeping good company. By reading any holy book also, we are in the divine company of God. This uplifts our minds and fills us with courage to go forward. This morning, we will read from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, which has practical teachings that inspire us to make steady progress. The chapter is Festival at Panihati, the date Sunday, 22nd July, 1883. Sri Ramakrishna, the Master, is talking to some devotees. He says, "What Brahman is cannot be described. Even he who knows it cannot talk about it. There is a saying that a boat, once reaching the black waters of the ocean, cannot come back." So in other words, the Master is talking about how the water would swallow the boat, and so nobody can return to explain the experiences that were received. The term Brahman refers to the highest truth or reality, that is, God without a name and without a form. A Brahman is a priest, but Brahman is the almighty power that no one can describe fully because of its infinite nature and supreme glory. The human mind is limited and cannot fathom what Brahman is, since it cannot be known by the mind and the senses. That's what the Upanishads say, that the mind and senses cannot know it. Saints and sages have experienced it through many years of sadhana and tapasya, that is, by spiritual austerities. Through the mind and sense control and through sincere yearning to attain this knowledge, they have been able to realize it. The compassionate Lord reveals himself to sincere seekers. Only one who has experienced Brahman understands its magnitude and infinite glory. The Master's life indicates that Master too experienced this divine presence all the time. The Master now relates a parable to explain that some devotees become merged in God and never return to the world, while one or two return to help us reach this ultimate goal, and these are the divine incarnations. The Master says, "Once 4 friends in the course of their walk saw a place enclosed by a very high wall. It was clear that everyone in this place was very happy. The friends became eager to know what was inside or what was on the other side of the wall. One of them climbed to the top of the wall. What he saw on the other side made him speechless with wonder. He only cried, 'Ah, ah,' and fell in. He could not give any information about what he saw. Then another friend climbed the wall, uttered the same cry, 'Ah,' and jumped in. The third friend too did the same. Now who could tell what was inside? Only one of them said, 'I will not jump to the other side. I must come back and tell everyone what I saw.'" So, as Master explains that this is the incarnation who, out of compassion for suffering humanity, comes to earth to inspire and teach us about our divine nature. Seeing his living example, we are convinced that God does exist and he can be seen. Sri Ramakrishna continues. Sages like Jada Bharata and Dattatreya, after realizing Brahman, could not describe it. A man's eye completely disappears when he goes into samadhi after attaining the knowledge of Brahman. So if there is no eye, then who is going to explain what? Earlier, the master had explained that it is like a salt doll going to measure the depths of the ocean. It merges with the ocean and becomes one with it. It cannot come back to relate its experiences. Similarly, if a person experiences samadhi, that is, becomes completely merged in God thought, there is no I in him. He or she sees only God everywhere. So there is no you or I. There is no division. So who will talk to whom? Since there is only one being, one consciousness. But Master is saying all this to us for us to know that there is this divinity and we must try our best to reach that, and that is within our own hearts. What a unique and divine experience it is. It is the peace that passeth all understanding. Since it is the highest and most subtle, it is not easily available. One has to work hard and sincerely yearn for it. It's not like paying $1,000 or R1,000,000 and you can get it. Then through this tapasya, through this mind and sense control and sincere perseverance, God's grace and compassion allows us to realize that Brahman, which is called it. Neither he nor she nor it. It is beyond all of this. Sri Ramakrishna continues. That is why Ram Prasad sang, addressing his mind. If you should find the task too hard, call upon Ram Prasad for help. The mind must completely merge itself in knowledge. But that is not enough. Ram Prasad, that is, the principle of I, must vanish too. Then alone does one get the knowledge of Brahman, says the Master. So we can see now the mind is a very important instrument that can take us to God. We are where our mind is. Our revered Guruji used to say, you are sitting here in the shrine, but if your mind is not here, then you are not in the satsang. Every now and then, check where your mind is. What is it thinking about? Shri Krishna Bhagavan says in chapter 6 of the Bhagavad Gita, let a man raise himself by himself. Let him not drag himself down, for he himself is his friend and he himself is his enemy. This means that we can help ourselves by continuously cultivating the habit of having strong, helpful thoughts. Prayer, meditation, and reading are important as they stimulate our minds to be our best friends. But it actually also means that we must be the masters of our minds. Don't allow the mind to take you where you do not want to go. A devotee asks the Master, Sir, is it possible then that Sukadev did not have the ultimate knowledge? Master, according to some people, Sukadev only saw and touched the ocean of Brahman. He did not dive into it. That is why he could return to the world and impart religious instruction. According to others, he returned to the world of name and form after attaining the knowledge of Brahman for the purpose of teaching others. He had to recite the Srimad Bhagavata to King Parikshit and had to teach people in various ways. Therefore, God did not destroy his eye altogether. God kept in him the ego of knowledge. So we see how compassionate the Lord is. The Lord knows that devotees can only know him through the help of one who has already realized him. One who has reached the goal can help others as well. The Lord feels for suffering humanity and comes in various forms to help us. Now let us see who was King Parikshit and why did Shukadev read the Bhagavad Puran to him. Some say Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Puran to King Parikshit. So the story goes that King Parikshit was the grandson of Arjuna of the Bhagavad Gita, the one of the Pandavas. So King Parikshit was Arjuna's grandson. He ruled over Hastinapur with love and compassion. He was the personification of righteousness, and none could match him in valor. There was peace and prosperity throughout his kingdom. One day, King Parikshit went out hunting. It had been a long day, and he felt tired and thirsty. As he searched for water, he came to the hermitage of sage Shamik. The sage was in samadhi and was not aware of the king's presence. The king asked for some water, but obviously the sage did not hear him. Normally, the king would have respectfully left without disturbing the yogi, but on this day, being tired and thirsty, he became impatient. He felt insulted and shouted, "You should respect your king. I have asked you for some water and you are not giving it to me." The king became angry. Finding a dead snake on the ground, he placed it around the sage's neck and then returned to his palace. After some time, the sage's son, Shringa Rishi, returned to the hermitage. He was an ascetic of tremendous spiritual power. When he heard that King Parikshit had insulted his father, he became very angry and cursed the king. He said that a poisonous snake would bite the king within 7 days. Soon, sage Shamik returned to normal consciousness. He was very disturbed to hear what had happened. He said to his son Shringi, "My dear son of immature understanding, you have committed a grave error. You have inflicted too harsh a punishment for such a minor offense." So you see the ill effects of anger, as Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, lust, anger, and greed are the triple gateway to hell. So we must never give in to anger. Sage Shamik was a very holy person and did not feel insulted by the king's rude behavior. When King Parikshit returned to the palace, he regretted his actions, as he was righteous by nature. He contemplated on asking the sage for forgiveness. Just then, a messenger brought news that the king had 7 days to live. King Parikshit was greatly pained. He decided to go to the banks of the holy river Ganga and fast unto death. Hearing about this great king's resolve, many illustrious sages like sage Vishwamitra, Vashishta, and sage Narada came to the Ganges. King Parikshit was blessed to be in their holy company. Shukadev Ji, the renowned son of sage Vedvyasa, also arrived at the banks of the Ganges. King Parikshit asked him, "O great teacher, what is the duty of a man who is about to face death?" Shukadev Ji replied, "O king, do not grieve or fear. There is a simple method to reach the Lord. By serving the needy, renouncing worldly desires, and by repeating God's name wholeheartedly, one can cross the ocean of worldliness and attain liberation. Even if one merely listens to the stories of the Lord, one's grief is destroyed and one experiences bliss. For 7 days, from sunrise to sunset, Shukadev glorified God and imparted supreme spiritual knowledge. This scripture is called the Srimad Bhagavatam, and it also includes the story of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So, the birth of Sri Krishna and the story of King Kansa, all of that is in this Srimad Bhagavatam. King Parikshit listened attentively and with great devotion. Gradually, Parikshit was freed from all worldly anxieties and troubles because he listened so attentively and had every other thought out of his mind. His mind became purer, and by the 7th day, he was liberated. When the serpent bit the king, he merged in the Lord who was uppermost in his mind. He was thinking only of God. So naturally, what you think about at the time of your death, that you attain. And the king realized God. Sometimes we do not realize the power of prayer, the power of repeating God's name. Prayer uplifts our minds and gives us peace. When we get the taste of this contentment, then gradually our minds get more and more attracted to God, the ultimate reality of this world. We are blessed to have the teachings of our Master, Sri Ramakrishna, the Holy Mother, Sri Sarada Devi, and Swami Vivekananda to help us increase our devotion to God and progress in life. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
भज मन राम कृष्ण जय बोलो
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 राम कृष्ण जय राधे कृष्ण जय
राम कृष्ण जय राधे कृष्ण
जय राम कृष्ण जय राधे कृष्ण जय
राम कृष्ण जय राधे कृष्ण
जय राम कृष्ण जय बोलो
भज मन राम कृष्ण जय
बोलो भज मन राम कृष्ण जय बोलो
भज मन राम कृष्ण जय बोलो
रघुकुल भूषण राम 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 माधव गोविंद श्याम श्याम श्याम
रघुकुल भूषण राम 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 माधव गोविंद श्याम श्याम श्याम
रघुकुल भूषण राम 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 माधव गोविंद श्याम श्याम श्याम
रघुकुल भूषण राम 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 माधव गोविंद श्याम श्याम श्याम
रघुकुल भूषण राम 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 माधव गोविंद श्याम श्याम श्याम
रघुकुल भूषण राम 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 माधव गोविंद श्याम श्याम श्याम
रघुकुल भूषण राम 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 माधव गोविंद श्याम श्याम श्याम
रघुकुल भूषण राम 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 माधव गोविंद श्याम श्याम श्याम
हरे राम हरे कृष्ण हरे राम
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 Ram Ram Krishna Jaya Bolo
भज मन राम कृष्ण जय
Bolo Bhaj Man Ram Krishna Jaya Bolo
भज मन राम कृष्ण जय बोलो
Ram Krishna Jaya Radha Krishna Jaya
राम कृष्ण जय राधे कृष्ण
Jaya Ram Krishna Jaya Radha Krishna Jaya
राम कृष्ण जय राधे
Krishna Jaya Ram Krishna Jaya Bolo
भज मन राम कृष्ण जय बोलो
Raghukula Bhushan Ram 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 Madhava Govinda Sham Sham Sham
रघुकुल भूषण राम 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 माधव गोविंद श्याम श्याम श्याम
Raghukula Bhushan Ram 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 Madhava Govinda Sham Sham Sham
रघुकुल भूषण राम 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 माधव गोविंद श्याम श्याम श्याम
Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram
हरे राम हरे कृष्ण हरे राम
Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram
हरे राम हरे कृष्ण हरे राम
Ram Krishna Jaya Bolo
भज मन राम कृष्ण जय बोलो ओम श्री राम कृष्ण भगवान की जय ओम ऐं गुरवे नमः ओम गं गणेशाय नमः ओम श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः यदाग्ने दायिका शक्तिः रामकृष्णे स्थिता धिया सर्वविद्या स्वरूपां तां शारदां प्रणमाम्यहम् शारदां प्रणमाम्यहम् दोहा जय जय मातु सरस्वती बुद्धि विद्या की कहानी हंसवाहिनी अंबिके जय जय वीणा पाणी हंसवाहिनी अंबिके जय जय वीणा पाणी चौपाई जय श्री सर्वोत्ति बलराशि जय सर्वज्ञ जय अविनाशी जय 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 वीणा करधारिणी हंसवाहिनी जय मृदुहासिनी ध्रुव चतुर्भुज तुम्हारो माता दीने लोमा तुम विख्याता हस्तस्फटिक कमाल वरराजे अमर कमल पर अम्ब विराजे ऐं श्रीं क्लीं बीज स्वरूपे पुस्तकधारिणि अमल अनूपे वाल्मीकि अत्याचारी तुम्हारो कृपा भये कवि भारी कालिदास भय अति विख्याता तुम्हारी दया है सब माता तुलसी सूर आदि विद्वाना तुम्हारो सुयश सदैव सरस्वती पूजन जो करही, निश्चय देव सागर तरही, नित्य बुद्धि मिलहि सुखदानी। जय 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 शारदा भवानी, तुम्हारी कृपा मिटाई सब पीरा, सेवक होई तुम्हारे धीरा। तुझी ब्रह्मांड निवासिनी, सकल तम गुण की प्रकाशिनी। जगदम्बा तुम अग जग भरनी, बुद्धि विधात्री सुमंगल करनी। दुख दरिद्र सब जाहि नसाई, तुम्हारी कृपा न कछु कही जाई। सनकादिक यम गुण गण गावहि, नारद मुनि तव सुयश सुनावहि। जापर कृपा तुम्हारी होई, तापर कृपा करहि सब कोई। शुभ वसन कर राजत कंगन, कचि किंकिनी मधुर नूपुर ध्वन। आदि शक्ति तुम परम सयानी, महिमा वेद पुराण बखानी। जग मंगल करती दुख हरती, सृष्टि स्वरूपा पालन करती। तुम माया तुम प्रकृति सनातन, आदि सृष्टि तुम अतिशय पावन। देव तनुज आरती उतारही, जय 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 मात उचारही। तुम्हारी कृपा मिलाई सुचि ज्ञाना, होई सकल विधि अति कल्याणा। मैं सेवक तुम्हारी हो माता, सुयश तुम्हार भुवन विख्याता। सब अपराध क्षमा कर दीजिए, मातु शरण मोको तुम लीजिए। जो जन सेवा करहि तुम्हारी, तिनका कटहु नहीं दुख भारी। जो यह पाठ करे चालीसा, तापर कृपा करहि जगदीशा। तापर कृपा करहि जगदीशा। दोहा जय शारदा, जय सरस्वती, जय माता जगदम्ब। दीन जानी की जय कृपा, देहु दयालम्। ओम श्री महाकाली महालक्ष्मी महासरस्वती श्री दुर्गा मात की जय।
Om Namo Narayanaya, dear sisters and brothers. Let us concentrate our minds on the radiant form of God seated in our hearts. Try to focus on the divine within. When we repeat God's name and take refuge in Him, He carries us across this ocean of pain and suffering. Glory to Sri Ramakrishna, who is like a bridge to cross the ocean of this world and who is the Guru, the spiritual teacher of all spiritual aspirants. Saluting your lotus feet in the morning easily removes the miseries of this world, O Sri Ramakrishna. Knowing this, the devotees devotionally take refuge at your feet. O Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, we adore you this holy morning. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरि ॐ तत्सत् जय श्री गुरु महाराज की जय महामाय की जय स्वामी जी महाराज की जय गंगा मात की जय महावीर स्वामी जी की जय सर्व ऋषि मुनियों की जय पार्वती पतये